This week I have been working on a not so glamorous job. We've been sanding down the floors in our suite, but one of the things that we've had to do is that between each of the floorboards, it is just full of dirt and almost like a grout that's cracked, and anyway, it all had to come out, it all had to be cleaned out. So I have been working on cleaning all the dirt and the old, and I sometimes wonder when I'm doing it how many years of dirt I'm cleaning out, but I have a very non-technical technique. I have a screwdriver, I have a vacuum, and I literally just use my screwdriver to clean out each of the gaps between every single floorboard. So it takes so much longer than you would hope and expect. I've done the bedroom here in the main suite. I've done the landing out by the library. And today I'm working on the dressing room, but it does take a long time. And the one thing that you learn when you're restoring an old house is patience, because you hope that you would be able to get it finished really quickly, but it just never works out that way. And what's interesting is that although a lot of the floorboards, between the floorboards, I found just dirt, I have also found some really interesting things that have been kind of wedged down to separate the floorboards. I found pieces of brown paper that have been rolled up and then wedged down. I found material. So this is an old piece of blue cloth that someone's obviously twisted and then wedged down between the floorboards. And then usually what happens is they put the material at the bottom and then they put on some kind of grout or something that's all broken and cracked on top. So when the hardest I found is the paper, because the paper gets twisted and wedged so it's so hard to actually get it back out because it's wedged so tightly that you kind of need a lot of elbow grease, and that takes a long time. When I found the sections with the paper, it's taken me a long time to get them cleared, but it does look really good and it'll be worth it once it's all done. And once we've got all the dirt out, we can then replace it and then stain, and the floors are going to look fantastic. It may take a lot of work, but the result is definitely worth it. So we've used the drum sander in these rooms to take all the paint and the varnish off the floors. But you can see here that obviously the drum sander can't get that close to the edges. So one of the things we've been working on this week is going around with a hand sander and taking all these little spots here, sanding that off, and then in some cases even having to actually strip the paint with a heat gun in the corners, just because even a hand sander is very difficult to get into those tiny little corners. So after a bit of elbow grease with the hand sander and the paint stripper, we actually now have, you can see here, the sides of the flooring all cleared, and now it's ready for stain. So we just have a little bit more left to do around the edges, but at least now it's really coming together, and we'll very soon be able to actually stain the floor and get it finished. So we've been working on the landing again this week, and although it probably doesn't look a lot different behind me, there's been a lot of changes. One of the biggest changes is that we've actually taken out the banisters now. So we wanted to take those out so we can sand the floors. So it's starting to look really completely different in this area. Without no banisters, which will get replaced, we're putting those back on, but we're going to be putting in new newel posts. Well, they're old newel posts, but they're new to the manor. So they're going to be put in, and then the new railing will be put along. And again, the railing is actually going to be used. It's the one that we have taken out. We're actually raising it because it was a little low, and so we're going to make it the proper safety height. But all the spindles and the railing is going to be reused. We're not buying it. We're not getting anything new for that. We're repurposing everything. We're just putting it back the way it was. So it's exciting now to see this area really starting to come alive with the space and the floor being sanded. And and it's definitely taken us a little bit longer than we'd hoped. All the little detail work and the prep work from the, you know, the gaps between the floorboards to doing the edges, it just takes so much longer, and it can be really quite frustrating. You feel like you've worked all week and you look and it doesn't seem like you've made much progress, but we are getting there, and this week we will hopefully start having more paint. You can see behind me that Stephen has been continuing with the drywall, so we're almost on final coat of the drywall, so this is really gonna have a big transformation very soon. Our hallway landing has these beautiful big medallions, but we decided they were just a little too plain and we wanted to add a little bit more pizzazz. Now they still have a lot of work to go because they've been very damaged over the years, and there's been some attempts to repair them which have not gone so well. So this is going to be a work in progress, but we've started by finding this really pretty centerpiece that we've added. We're going to have chandeliers hanging from this, but it's made a big difference to these pieces. It's really nice now to be able to walk through the suite out onto the landing, and although we're still a long way, we've still got a lot of work to do, we're really starting to see progress, and the floor transformation has just changed the whole feel of this area. And then we've even sanded down here, although we're not really working particularly on this area at the moment. We have sanded, and this is the hardwood. And again, it's come up beautifully with a bit of sanding. So this is our hallway that will now be refinished with this beautiful hardwood. It's really exciting now to know that we are almost at the stage where I can start using paint. And these are my colors that I'm going to be using in this room. We've got obviously our beautiful material that's going to be our curtains, but I'm using this damask pink in the bathroom. We've got this really beautiful, it's called Cathedral Taupe, which I'm going to be using on the fireplace. A nice, really pretty pink that we're actually going to be putting that on the ceiling. So you'll have to stay tuned to see what that's going to look like. I think it's going to be very dramatic, but very romantic as well. So I'm excited about that. So I have everything ready to go. I'm just waiting for the sanding to be finished so I can actually start painting. So I'm going to get back to work and finishing this sanding and stripping of the paint and all the other little bits we need to do for prep, so we can start painting and making this room look just beautiful. And I will see you next week on our next episode of the Lady Smith Manor Diaries.